Let me start by saying I know how important our sport is, and we love football and we love those kids, but I also want thoughts and prayers for the people in western North Carolina. We've got Sally and I have lived up there, and we have so many friends up there, and it's really devastating. They don't have phone service, they don't have Wi-Fi, roads are out, trees are down. They're encouraging people not to go to the mountains. People that are up there can't get off the mountain. They don't have food. There's not water in some of the hospitals. I mean, it is totally devastating to think that a storm could do that much damage. So make sure that all of us keep the fine people of western North Carolina in our thoughts and prayers. And there's been a lot of people that have been lost. And I'm sure that more people even looking for people with all the damage and the flooding. So let's keep things in perspective, and please put your thoughts and prayers to the mountains. That's really important. The other thing we've got at a time where I think we've got a really good team, and we as coaches haven't done a good enough job with them yet. And it's really interesting that you go to Minnesota and you fight and you scrape and you come out and they miss a field goal and you win at the end and everybody's happy. You come out Saturday and you have an even game with two even teams. It's come down to the last drive in 3 of the last 5 years. We've made that drive to win the game. Those 3 years we didn't this time. We won the first half, they won the second half. Probably 5 plays in the game, maybe 1 or 2 that if we'd made, we win the game. And things are totally different. So what I have to do as the coach is go back and look at exactly all the things we did well, what we didn't do well, and then we have to go back and have hard meetings and figure out how to help our team get better. The other thing is that when you lose a game in modern day college football, there's so much anger publicly that it's everywhere, not just here, that players have to learn to handle that. That's the way it's going to be in their lives. They're going to have crises that are public more than we did when I was growing up. So it's one of the things that you learn is to take negatives and turn them into positives. And that's a life's lesson. And one of my jobs is to try to help them with life's lessons, and that's what we're doing. So we're sitting here at 3-2. Had one game we really played poorly with 7 turnovers, really, and then we came back, had our chance to win on Saturday and didn't. Tale of 2 halves, like we said. We rushed for 105 yards the first half, only 37 the second half. We held them to 51 yards rushing the first half and gave them 148 the second half. People ask, how does that happen? If you knew how it happened, you'd have stopped it. How does Alabama get ahead 30-7 and come down to a last drive to save the game? I mean, there's momentum changes, and one thing we've got to do better as a team is when somebody gets momentum against us, we've got to have enough confidence to step up and take it back. And I didn't think we did that in the second half on Saturday. I thought Duke got momentum and we had our chances, but we didn't take advantage of those opportunities when we had them. Offensively, we're ready to win the game, go up 24-0 on a 4th and 1, and we get a holding call. If we make that first down, we're going to score. We're at the 7-yard line, 6-yard line. Game's probably over, because you get up one more and you've got momentum and things are going well, and so that kept us from closing the game out. We've got to be better at that. Pass interference in the end zone, that would have forced them for a field goal on a 3rd and 5. But then we've got a first down with 5 minutes left to go, where we normally drive and win the game, and we get a holding call and a personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct on the same play, which makes us 1st and 35. I mean, there are so many things that we can fix that is on us as coaches. And then you go back till we got the ball back. Defense did a great job of stopping them, gets the ball back with 1:37 left. Last year we got the ball back with 40 seconds left, and we were down by 3. We drove, kicked a field goal, and won in overtime. I fully thought with 1:37 left we would go ahead and drive down and win the game. With a field goal, since it was 21-20 at that time, but obviously we didn't. So we got offensively really good first half, didn't maintain it. Duke brought pressure like James Madison brought pressure, and we didn't handle it well. So one of the things we've got to do is we've got to affect the safeties better, and we've got to play better up front. We got Omarion hit too many times in the backfield, and we got our quarterback hit too many times. So we know we're really inexperienced in the offensive line. People are taking advantage of that right now, and we've just got to continue to work and play better and try to help them more because all that happened Saturday was the same thing that happened against JMU. Defensively, held them to 97 yards and no points in the first half. Second half, we didn't tackle well. They had one explosive play at halftime, and they had 11 in the second half. Most of them were because of missed tackles. And again, I thought the defense got frustrated. When things were going great, we played well. When some bad things happened, they hit the long play down on their boundary. They made a couple of explosive plays, and then we didn't respond as well. Still held them to 3 of 16 on third downs. So we did a lot of good things. We just didn't do the things that we had to do to win the game. Special teams, we've got to fix the punt problem. I've just had meetings with all the coaches all day yesterday and today to try to fix every problem we've got. We're working on them. We're fully aware of them. Again, we're trying to make the players aware of everything we're doing, and we've got to figure out why this isn't working or that it isn't working and do it better. And that's what you do as a coach. And see what we can do to go back, and we won the first 3 games on special teams. What can we go back and do to affect the game positively through special teams? Coach Narduzzi's done a great job at Pitt. It's his 10th year. They're probably the most complete team we've played. The biggest difference for them is Eli Holstein, their quarterback, transferred in from Alabama, and he can run, he can throw. They've got great receivers, not good receivers. They got a receiver that transferred from Western Carolina with the offensive coordinator. They've got a running back that transferred from Western Carolina that are both really good players. They've got the 2 great receivers that played against us last year, and they're always tough on defense. I'm sure that the way Pat moves around blitzes anyway, he'll like what he's seen from us the last 2 weeks and be excited about playing. Julius Peppers will be inducted, or he will have his ceremony this weekend for his induction into the NFL Hall of Fame and the College Football Hall of Fame, which is just unbelievable. So I want all of our fans to come for homecoming and appreciate Julius for all he's not only done for us, but the Panthers and the state. He's been really, really special. And I thought our crowd at Duke was great. Really appreciated the fans and the way they hung in there and fought till the end. Questions?
Mack, do you think the criticism your team is facing after 2 games lost is, I guess the word unfair? I mean, that the expectations you guys have on yourselves are so hard because you guys have had back-to-back years of a Heisman-type quarterback, an NFL-caliber quarterback, and now you're on your 3rd quarterback this year?
You know, I remember when I first got to Texas, they started showing me all the coaches that were fired in the 1900s. The 1901, there was a fired coach. Then in 3, they fired another one. Then in 4. So fans have always been angry at people. It's just more public now. And everybody's got an opinion. And that's okay. We live in a world with opinion. Even reporters. Some are professional. Some want to be tabloid because they're trying to get better jobs. And that gives them more splash. And I got it. I lived in your business. I did that. So the truth is it's all fair because it's what it is. Our team didn't have high expectations before the season. Nobody thought we were very good. And then we beat Minnesota and everybody said, this is better. And then we didn't play great the other 2 games early. And then we finished them good. And then we didn't play well against JMU. And Saturday, it was supposed to be an even game on the road, very much like Minnesota. And I thought we played our hearts out and gave everything we had and lost right in the end. If we had driven down and kicked the field goal, the negative people would have still been negative. They're just not as loud. When you lose a game, you give negative people a chance to be really loud. And that's what they do. They become very powerful, and that's okay. And what I've told the players is that that's part of your life. That's the I didn't live that life as a player. We didn't have internet. We didn't have all the ways that people could speak and say their piece, whether they knew anything or not. Don't even have to use their name. So it's different. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It's different. And there's wonderful things with the internet, but there's also some really hurtful things. And I told the guys, don't ever let somebody bother you that you wouldn't ask them for their opinion.
So that was they're going to see a lot of that kind of stuff. So do you have to combat that? Or do you just believe the trust they have in you is how you combat it? You don't have to really address it much.
I told them that the anger is at me, and that's okay. I got big shoulders, and I can handle it, and I get paid for it. They should have their lives. They should have their faith. They should have their school, their girlfriends, and they should try really, really hard to grow up and be strong and learn from all the negativity. That's part of life. They're going to have that. It may not be called football in their life. It may be their business. It may be that they're a CEO and their stock's down and people are critical of them. They're going to have criticism their whole life. That's just part of it. So what you do is you handle it and you move on.
The last couple of years, Mac, you guys have had these awesome starts, like 9-1 or 6-0 type thing. So, the goals were there. At this point in the year, 2 losses already, 2 tough losses. What's kind of the motivating factor, maybe since some of those big picture goals seem maybe a little far away right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. The thing I told the team is our teams have started so well and haven't finished well. I think this is one that's struggled some at the start. And there's a lot of teams that were expected to be a whole lot better than we are that are 3-2 or less. I mean, a lot. So there's a lot of this press conference at other places. Everybody lost is having the same one. That's just the way it is. And that's, when you look at it, it's funny. We live in our little world. I like to look at the whole world, and it's very similar. It doesn't change much. But I've told our team, I think this is one that's going to be built to finish stronger and have a great finish at the end. And that's something we haven't done well. So that's still out there for us. And we're one game into the ACC schedule with playing an undefeated team that's a rival and came down to 1 point. So, and we've got so many things we can fix. The fans that are griping are right. I mean, we got some things we got to fix. So, I mean, I'm like them. I've been working all morning to fix them.
You mentioned the offensive line. You had some problems there, inexperience, that kind of thing. What can you do with the offensive line, especially this week against a team like you said that likes to blitz?
Yeah, Chip, it's a problem because you've had Blaskey hurt, you've had Banfield hurt, so that set back inexperienced players on top of what we had. Even Leftwich has been hurt some. So I think what you do is we have to keep simplifying, because when people start doing so much and you're new and you see so many different looks all the time, you're going to have to be simple to figure it out. So that's one thing we've got to do. We're, like I said, Jacoby's played, he had started 2 games now in his whole career. And I think he'd played 59 plays before he came back for us. So he's a rookie. And we had 2 inexperienced quarterbacks, not young quarterbacks, 2 inexperienced quarterbacks that are both very talented in that game Saturday. And both of them playing in probably the most important game of their life because it was a rival game with a tremendous amount of pressure. So I feel like that Jacoby will keep coming, but we've got to help him more.
Struggling, like he barely moves sometimes, seems like between plays.
He is.
He's playing hard, I guess.
He's so tough, and he's probably trying to play before he should have been back. So it's tough for him. And Banfield was sick. He was throwing up on the sidelines. So there was something wrong, so he didn't play very much. So we're just, you can, I can sit up here and give you 25 reasons why we had problems Saturday, and all of them are excuses. So I'm not going to do that. I've been around too long to do that.
Talking about the things to fix, I mean, being around you guys in the preseason, it seemed like special teams was a huge emphasis, and the punting problems have come back. Like, did you think you had it fixed in the preseason? I'm assuming you did. And what's going wrong here? And also, are you just going to have to go max protect on the thing?
Yeah, well, you go max protection anyway. That's what you do. It's just and again, if I sit here and tell you exactly what's wrong, then I'm throwing somebody under the bus, and I'm not going to do that. It's all my fault. We just met for an hour and a half again this morning, and it will get fixed. I thought it was fixed, but it will get fixed 100%. And really and truly, Huzzy made an unbelievable play. If they don't grab his face mask, he probably scores, picking the ball up on the goal line. That was so heads up. And our kickoffs, Liam Boyd's out. Have we even said that? Liam Boyd's out he'd be lower body. And I don't think he'll play the rest of the year. So we've got Lucas Asada that's kicking off. So, I mean, it's just been a combination of stuff, and Lucas did a good job Saturday. He kicked a couple of them all the way out of the end zone, and he's got a great leg. So we'll look at him at punter as well this week as we go, because he's a really good punter. We just don't want to overload him. And I was excited about getting down for Adam to kick the field goal Noah to kick the field goal at the end, Adam, and have a chance there because he's been so accurate. The one that the punt's been awful, and the kickoff returns we've had holding. And that's set us back to the 10-yard line. You can't do that with field position. We're not good enough on offense. And I think we're second in the league in total offense and first in rushing, or one of the two. But we're still too inconsistent for me.
Real quick on that. Sorry, AJ. With the protection problems on the punt, is it pretty much the same thing that got you last year? As you've gone back and looked at it?
No, it's a different problem, but it's the same one against James Madison that got us against Duke, and you can't have the same thing happen again. And it's exactly the same thing, and that was an hour and a half this morning.
And it's on film now, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I said I bet Pitt looks at it.
Go back to what you were saying several minutes ago. You still got 2 open dates. Based on what you're saying, maybe this is the year where you finish strong. Do those open dates actually come at a good time? Because with a lot of the youth and some of the things that need fixing, you're going to have 2 weeks out of 4 to really fix a lot of these things before the home stretch.
We really are. We had 5 years of Sam and Drake where we knew who we were offensively. And now we've had 3 quarterbacks in 5 games. So we got to figure out what each quarterback does the best. And we finally got it to where we felt like we had Max. In the third quarter at Minnesota, we were who we wanted to be. And then we had Connor come in, and now we've got Jacoby. So we're still trying to figure out our identity on offense. And we wanted to be a physical run and play action team. Well, you got to be able to throw the ball better. Because people are putting too many in the box, and they're not letting Omarion beat them, and we've got to throw the ball better. And that's just, we've got to do it. We can't talk about it. We've got to do it.
Mack, with the personal foul on JJ late in the game, you mentioned how bad that was for the drive. Have you had a conversation with him since the game, either after the game or on Sunday?
Yeah.
What was that conversation like?
I think one of the problems we've got is that the kids are trying so hard that they want to win, and then even when something happens bad, they give up a play. They're crushed that they've let their teammates down, they've let their fans down, and they got to get over that. They got to go play. You can't get emotional, and one of our themes for last week was compete with composure, because it's an emotional game, and you can't make mistakes like that. That's one of those 5 that hurt us, because we had a chance to score and win the game. But that's part of teams playing together. You can't hurt your team. Does it help us win? That's what we always say. If it doesn't help us win, don't do it. And obviously that was one of those that did.
Following Pat's question from before, you don't want to lose ever. Do you prefer, though, from a character building standpoint, any kind of identity of maybe finishing strong versus having an electric start and having a disappointing end?
Everything we've done since last year was to try to have a stronger finish. Everything. That doesn't mean that we didn't want to win at the beginning, obviously. And 2 weeks ago, we were 3-0 and riding high, and everything was great. And everybody thought we'd be 5-0 with Pitt coming in undefeated at 4-0. So Coach Royal always told me that coaching is like life. It's a roller coaster. And the highs are too high because you're never as good as you think you are when you're winning, because it's always that 5 or 6 plays that you could have gotten beat. And it's never as bad as it seems when it's really, really low. And what you got to do is live in the middle, and you got to feel the good, work through the bad. But the best teachable moments are taking negatives and turn them into positives, because all of us are going to have negatives in our lives. And then you can't always control what happens to you. What you do is you control how you handle what happens to you. And if I don't handle, I've always handled losses poorly. I'm trying to do better. I've told them, I am trying to do better because you should learn from losing. And if you don't learn from losing, then you're not helping yourself improve. And that's my job, to be tough, be strong, be positive, be direct, take the things that are not working and fix them. Admit to them, not throw people under the bus, because that's my responsibility, and move forward.
Telling yourself Saturday night, leaving the field, maybe, I gotta be better with this loss than I was the next last week. As you walk.
No question. Trying to mature in 73.
Mack, talking about anger and disappointment, before you got here, there wasn't any of that because people didn't care anymore. They didn't come, they didn't care. And so, kind of your fault. You guys had so much excitement here, but don't the fans have a right to be disappointed?
Yeah, always if you lose. Here's what I love. We have great fans. Some are better than others. Some are vocal, some are not. Usually the really positive fans don't say anything. They go back to work. The negative fans wait till something happens. They gripe when you're winning. They go crazy when you're losing. That's their voice. Could I finish? Thank you, Art. So what we've got with, like Saturday, be mad at me. I'm mad at me. I got it. I don't want to ever lose a game. I've been doing this 47 years. So come to the game to support the kids. They are great kids, and they are trying, and they're college kids. So come and support them. Be mad at me. That's okay. I got it. Be mad at the coaches. I'm mad at them. I'm on them. I'm mad at me. So I've got all that, and I really, none of that bothers me at all. That's what I signed up for this. God, 36 years I've been a head coach. I've been criticized 36 years. So there's nothing anybody can say to me or about me that I haven't heard, good or bad. I've had it all. And I learned that none of it's important. What's important is I do the best job I can do for the University of North Carolina and for these kids. That's it. But I don't get mad at you all when you write things. That's your life. You have an opinion, even if you're wrong. It's your opinion.
Is for people who have invested in the program, either money, emotionally, season tickets, and so forth. And they've always been that way, except now there are other methods, social media and so forth, to get that out. But I don't see where anything has really changed other than the ability to have it in public so much. But
Yeah, I agree.
if they're disappointed, it's because they care.
Yeah.
If they didn't care, then it would be like you last time, that nobody cared.
No, I love the fact that our fans care and they're disappointed. That does not bother me. You are wrong that a lot of the ones that are griping aren't invested. So they don't have season tickets and yeah. Oh, no, they are. They are. That's a good point.
Saying earlier was you felt this team was actually built to finish the year, a lot stronger. I know obviously we're not quite at the halfway mark yet, even in that, but what about, I guess, the makeup of this team or the way that it's constructed kind of makes you feel that it is better to finish out, stronger, I guess, compared to, other years?
I think the biggest thing would be the number of people we're playing on defense is where we should be built to stay healthier. And we've already lost Kamen for the first, 3 of the first 4 of the first 5. So here we are now. Jacoby Cowens had to play. He played a lot in Kamen's place on Saturday and played really well. Tyler Thompson and J. Bron Harvey would not have played much at this time last year. They've already started games and played. So we played more linebackers Saturday. We played 4 corners Saturday. So defensively, where we've been giving out at the end of the year, we're playing a lot more people. So I really hope that will make a difference. We're not able to play enough people in the offensive line. We wanted to, and we've had too many injuries, so that's really set us back. But you're playing 3 tight ends. Lonnie's playing a bunch of receivers. We're going to have to play more running backs. We can't just play Omarion as much as he is. He's going to have to get some help. And Caleb Hood's healthy, so I think we'll start seeing him more. So you've got Caleb Hood and Bullet Davion Goss, Bullet, excuse me, is his nickname, to play. So, and if Barlow gets back, we've really missed him. We thought he would be a huge factor, and he hadn't played except 5 plays, I think, 6, whatever it was, against Minnesota.
Back on the subject of Julius Pepper's recognition, what are your earliest memories of discovering a kid out in Southern Nash that was so talented in so many different ways?
Yeah, when I went to see him play, there was this 6'5", 235-pound running back and a bunch of little knots trying to tackle him. It was the most hilarious thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was one of those oh my gosh moments, just watching him and saying, come now, man. And he was a running back. So when he was coming to school, he really loved basketball and was a great basketball player for us as a 6th guy. But he didn't know whether he wanted to play tight end or defensive end because he loved to run and catch. And really, his money was in defensive end and ended up being that way. But he's very quiet. He's very shy. I'm so proud of the man he's become and what he's doing. I turned on TV yesterday, and he was banging the drum for the Panthers. And so his personality's come out. I was inducted into the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame with him. And they thought I'd talk too long and he wouldn't say anything. He did a great job speaking, and I had about 2.5 minutes. So we're really proud of him, and proud that he wants to come back. He's wanting to help us with NIL in the fundraising part of it. So he's really special. Can't wait to see him. There's they're working on a little dinner for him on Friday night to honor him before the game on Saturday, so I can't wait to see him.
Will this be the first time Kamen has practiced since he got hurt?
Yeah, and we haven't gotten a full report yet, so we'll see in the morning. He was running with the trainers yesterday and looked really good. So.
To add him.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't mean
that's totally on them.
Sure.
I mean, trainers tell us he can do this in practice. This is limited, and we probably won't know till pregame, very honestly, because they will watch him all week. And if he doesn't practice, well, we can't play him. It's not fair to him or the other players. But if he gets in Wednesday's practice, we have to decide if Thursday's enough because you're not in pads. So we'll just watch it during the week with he and Barlow and see how much the trainers let him do.
And I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but it seems like the timetable grew from what you guys originally expected. I mean, was there any sort of hold up there? Did anything happen to set it back? Like what has taken longer than you expected, I guess?
You know, the thing that you learn with your doctors is all of us, Aaron's dealing with it right now with his medical situation. They can give you a timeline, and then it is something, I think they said 3 to 4 weeks when it happened. And we have no input. So nothing's happened. I just don't know that even doctors as smart as they are, when they told me my knee replacement would take this long, it might take longer than that for some and less than others. Aaron doesn't know when he's going to be back to full speed. So whatever full speed was. So, right, Aaron? And that's from a place of love, because look at me, I'm my knee replacements, but you just can't tell. And that's why when they tell us, when they give us a timeline, some guys beat the timeline, some take longer. I mean, you just never know. And that's why, like, we had one player, and they said, we've got to work him out after practice on this day to see if he's cleared to practice the next day. So we don't even know. And then we'll get that night that he may be, or they may say, we're gonna sleep on it and see how he feels in the morning. We'll check him, and that's at 5:30 in the morning to see whether you can practice. Liam Boyd came in Friday, 2 weeks ago, and said, I've got this issue. I'm not going to be able to kick in the game. That was Friday, and we don't have any more practice. So we pulled the old freshman in and said, Lucas, man, hey, guess what? You get to kick off tomorrow. Enjoy. So those are the things that people don't understand that you deal with, or something like that going on all the time.
Max, when you talk about finishing strong, does that make this game even more pivotal? I know there's a lot of season left, but 3 straight losses, at least from a confidence standpoint, would feel difficult, I think, to overcome.
Yeah, you know, every game's important. We talk to our players about, and we have to do this in life, you need to be where your feet are. You better worry about today. We don't even know if we've got, I mean, we can be gone tomorrow. So worry about today. Worry about getting better. Worry about what you fix. And don't worry about what happens if somebody doesn't like something that you did. I mean, if we had beaten Duke, the ones that are mad would have still been mad over JMU. So you can't worry about all that. If you start, you better worry about yourself. And I'm responsible for a lot of people. I got to worry about them. I sure can't get overloaded enough to start worrying about everybody else.
You guys have had a few games in which there were only a couple of missed tackles. You had, I believe, 20 the other day. Some coaches will never admit to being surprised. Did that surprise you, and what do you attribute that to the other night?
Yeah, we met for an hour yesterday on it. I don't know. I think sometimes, I thought it happened at James Madison, and we've got to do better defensively. I thought we got frustrated when they started making a few plays, and then you panic, and we can't do that. We just can't do it. So, but we were definitely surprised and disappointed.
Mack, when you guys put Jacoby Callums to start the game, I guess at that rush position, was that more of a situation just wanted to go bigger? Is that kind of why the switch was made though?
We did. We thought they'd run the ball, and we thought he could do that. There wouldn't be as much opportunities for him to have to drop as the others, and that's why he played so much, and he played well. And he's been basically a third alternating power end. So that let him get a lot more snaps too. You try to get your best 11 out there, and for this game, we thought he was in the best 11.
As you've gone back and looked at it, and had the clarity of a couple days, I mean, do you think you simply wore down on defense in terms of trying to stop the run? Because, I mean, if you think about it, you had the 20-point lead. You usually don't see teams run the ball to come back. You know what I mean? Like, you're usually throwing the ball around.
You know, that's why we have Jeff here. We talked about it again this morning for an hour, and yesterday for about 2, and looked at everything. We've got to have our leaders step up in those situations. When momentum is changing, and it changes in ball games, and you knew they were going to have a surge coming out the second half, because they didn't the first half, and they had to, and then we had to step up and stop it. And we drive down and score immediately, and then we don't stop them consistently. So I think, again, these are, if it was an easy answer, you're dealing with lots of people. And you can't just have we want blanket statements in press conferences that covers everybody. You can't. Because each one of them, some played great. But if his buddy next to him, and I thought, and Jeff can talk about this, we also thought, when they were moving the ball, we started trying to do too much, not defensively, but they did. Don't just stay in your gap. I got to do something more than what I'm doing, and then they hurt themselves, because that's where the missed assignments come in, and the missed tackles, because when you're out of position, you miss the tackles. So we've played some bad defense around here, and we've got to we had some good defense there to start with, and now we're off track, so we got to get back on track, and we're doing it in pieces. The first half was great. I mean, it's unbelievable. So it's there, and that's what I mean. As coaches, we got to help them and pull it out.
You said you got frustrated and panicked. I guess you were talking about the JMU game, I would take it.
Yes.
Did that also happen in the second half? Did you detect that happening?
I thought some. Jeff can talk to you, because we talked a long time about it this morning. If I give you everything he and Chip are thinking, then why have them? But we thought that at that point, the kids started trying too hard. Panic's probably a bad word. They started trying so hard that they got out of their responsibilities in cases and started trying to do too much. And got to fix this, got to stop this, because they want to win so badly. And that's a good thing. We just got to we do your job, stay where you are, don't try to do something, don't try to do too much. And then when you try to do too much, then you mess up something else. And every time they have good players, so they make a play, don't think the world's coming to an end. They got scholarship players too, and they're undefeated. I mean, Duke's a good team. They've done a good job.
Frustration, can some of that carry over from JMU when they start to sense that things are going the wrong way? And do you think for some of the guys that have been in the program for a while, they've been through this before, so it's kind of easy that it seeps in quickly when a couple things go wrong?
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew, and that's something we've got to keep preaching, and that'll be that'll be preached all day today and all day tomorrow and at practice. They're going to make some plays. But in your life, when things are happening bad in your life, you've got to step up and change it. You got to stop it, and you got to turn it into a positive, and that's what we've got to do right now.
But the things that are fixable, is that the most difficult thing to fix?
I think so, but I think we can fix it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Most teams lose. I mean, we've been fortunate around here to win in Casey's, and we've won some big games. So, like we said, the expectations are high for me. The expectations are high for these kids, too. And that's what I want the fans to do. Keep being positive for the kids. I mean, if you got anger, throw it at me. Throw it at the assistant coaches. We're all older. We can handle it. But stay off them. Come to the games. Be positive. Your investment's working. These are great kids that are having a wonderful experience at North Carolina. We want to win all the games. I mean, that's the difference. And we're 3-2. So we're not at the end of the world here. We've had a last-minute loss and a really bad loss. So that's what we got. Yes, Pat's done a great job. He's been there 10 years, and they're always, everybody gets labeled. He's labeled for physical. The thing he's doing different now is they're not just running the ball. They're throwing it all over the place. They hired the young offensive coordinator from Western Carolina, and it's not the same Pitt that we're used to seeing. That quarterback's really good, and he was a transfer from Alabama. He didn't play there last year, and he's a big, tall guy that's very athletic. He can run. I think he's thrown 12 TDs and 2 interceptions. So he, to me, is the difference in their football team. Same on defense, same tough guys. They make it really hard to run. So for us, again, we're going to have to start throwing the ball better for us to be able to compete here at the end. But they are the most complete football team we've played this far.
I know you've talked about the penalties, and obviously it's a whole bunch of different things. It's not one dude or one type of thing. But in a general sense, because it's hurt you so much the last couple of games, I mean, do you have to take some sort of hard line with these dudes? And I mean, get on them, punish them at practice? Like, I mean, it's really shooting you.
We're doing all that. And we had 10 penalties. Duke had 8. And we turn more in every week. The thing, you can't have a penalty on 4th and 1 that you make a first down. You can't have a penalty when you're first and goal from a 2. You can't. You just can't do those things. And sometimes the more you yell at them, the more nervous they get and the worse they get. So we're dealing with it. We thought we had that handled, and then it's gotten off track the last 2 weeks. But I mean, if you look at it, I think most of the teams are about 10 a week, 8 to 10, something they do. And ones that have fewer than that are the ones that have a better chance to win. The college football to me has gotten more like the NFL in so many ways. There's about 10 or 12 that are better than everybody else. And even Ole Miss was considered one of those. They got beat by Kentucky at Ole Miss. And then you take everybody else is a whole lot alike. So you got to coach better than ever before, and you got to play better than ever before, and you got to make fewer mistakes. It is harder to win than it's ever been. And so you can't make mistakes, and that's what we're doing, and we've got to quit that. And I told the coaches this morning, that's coaching. You can say what you want, you can blame who you want, but the coaches that are coaching the best are going to win the most games. And that's what college football is going to be, in my estimation, moving forward, and especially until they get some guidelines with the NIL stuff, because you're going to keep your group that's buying all the best players, and then the rest of us are going to have to play good and coach better, because our players are going to be about like everybody else's.
Speaking of penalties, I don't want to get you in trouble here, but do you get the sense that the refs are letting the receivers and DBs jostle a little bit more in games this year? So sometimes the flag is thrown when 10 times previously it wasn't thrown the exact same thing, or even it's a lesser infraction. So there's a little inconsistency there for the players to kind of get a gauge how it's been called.
Yeah, I would get in trouble. So I think it seems like they're letting them play more. That's fair, right? The thing that's happened to me, our officials are wonderful people that have real jobs during the week, and they're officials on Saturday. And the game is going so fast, and there's so many formations, and there's so much shifting and motion, I still think, and I'm not just talking about our game, but I still think if it's a critical call that is missed that changes the game, it should go upstairs, and they should be able to say, no, that was not a holding call, pick up the flag. Until we do that, we're going to have human error, and as we see, the emotion of winning and losing is so important. I hate to see an honest person with a human error that's trying to do his best miss a call that changes a game from winning to losing. And I'm not talking about every one of them, but if it is a game changer, then call down and say, no, pick it up, pick up the flag, man, you all missed it. And what's wrong with that? To me, that should happen. All we're trying to do is get the team that plays the best to win the game. And until we do that, we're going to have human error, and it's not going to change.
Mack, with the offensive line, I know that the inexperience was a concern, remaking pretty much the whole group up there. For lack of a better term, in your opinion, do you think those guys have gotten confused by some of the pressures these teams have brought against them? I mean, sometimes it looks like guys might just be out of place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
again, you'd have to take 75 plays. You'd have to look at every one of them. Have there been some mental mistakes in the offensive line? Yes, would be the answer. Are they confused all the time? No, we're leading the league in offense and rushing, and so we're doing a whole lot of good things, but we are allowing the safeties to stay down low and deter our running game because Omarion's our best player, and we can't do that. We're going to have to throw the ball outside to the receivers, and we're going to have to be effective doing it. And you got to protect to do that. So that's where, and we've always done that. We did it last week, but there were some things up inside, and then you had two of your inside guys that were hurt and sick, so that affects you too. So we're just, it's really, coaching is so interesting because you affect kids' lives. That's why you do this. And you love to compete and all that stuff, but you only do it because you affect kids' lives. Right now, I can be a bigger effect on our coaches and our kids' lives than ever before because there's so many people that are on them and on me. And that's a lot of pressure for kids. They don't deserve that. And they chose to play, and I got it. And everybody says, well, they're getting paid now. Not much. I mean, very honestly. So this is a time where I can help them handle stuff and mold their lives better than ever before. It's a whole lot easier than winning. When we won the national championship, I didn't have to do much of anything. We're winning every game. Everybody's happy, and I just, probably the easiest coaching job of my life. We're better than everybody. And then when we played somebody like us, which was about 3 times a year, we had to coach. But this is coaching. I mean, this is what most of the coaches in the world, most coaches don't ever get to be a head coach. The ones that do usually get to stay 3 years before they're fired. Now sometimes it's 2.5. I've been a head coach 36 years. So my job is more clear now than ever before. You have to win to keep your job. But I have to handle the kids. And like coming to this today, I can't explain everything to you. Because if I do, I'm going to start being critical of kids if they messed up. And I'm not going to do that. That's not there. I've never done that, and I'm not going to do it. What I'm going to do is try to help them fix it in their lives. But people should be critical of me. We shouldn't ever be critical of kids. They are trying their best. They're working really hard. They work so hard. Oh my gosh, to work that hard and be that disappointed. I mean, you can't imagine how hard they work. They're off today. That's why we can't do press conferences. They had a drug test, NCAA drug test at 5:15 on Thursday morning. 5:15. And there 36 of them are chosen at every school by their a number, social security number. And then they're told that night that at 5:15 in the morning you have to have a drug test. So they're up at 5:15 and have to have the test before they can leave, or it's a positive if they don't have the test. Some of them miss practice on Thursday because they weren't through with the test yet. I mean, so these kids have a load now. And then you're a student at the University of North Carolina on top of all that. And then you've got all the real problems in your life that you have. Some of the kids, I didn't realize how devastating the really Tampa through Boone was. I mean, I didn't realize it because I wasn't on my phone, I wasn't looking, I was worried more about Duke. And all of a sudden, when we get a call that we don't know if your house is okay, we can't get to it. There's too many trees down. And I said, nobody can get to the house to see if it's still there. And they said, no. And then it hit me. And then yesterday, the first thing I said to the team was, if you have parents or family members that are in trouble, let us try to help. We'll call security or safety if you can't get to your parents, because we didn't even think about, I mean, we've got kids from Florida. We got a lot of kids from Georgia. We got kids from the mountains in Asheville. So I didn't even think about that. And that was wrong of me with all this other stuff going on. I should have first thought should have been their safety. And all of our kids are safe, and all their families are safe. So we're okay. It worked out. We checked it all yesterday to make sure, but that's it. So what you do is you go back to work. You look at everything you're talking about. Some of it's real, some of it looks real and it's not. Some of it we can fix, some of it we have to change, we can't fix. We don't have free agency. So I told the coaches, don't blame players. That doesn't work. You got them all here. You've had them since January. So let's pull together, let's get tougher, let's make sure that we're doing the things that are best for our football program. We got a huge challenge this weekend. Are the negatives out there? Yeah, for every guy in the country lost yesterday or Saturday. Does it matter? No. Winning's what's important. Taking care of the kids is most important. Teaching them lessons is the second most important thing. And winning's the third, because you don't get keep your job unless you win. That's just the way this stuff hasn't changed. It's just more public.
Two questions. One, it's probably a stupid question, but it's kind of insane that they're waking kids up at 5:15 for drug tests on top of everything they do with class and homework and studies and practice. I mean, there's no other way that they can do that. I mean,
it's a little different. I asked, why don't you have it at 2? And they said that the fluid that you would drink in the morning and the food that you eat would dilute the sample. So that's why they do it. And I said, well, why wouldn't you do it on Monday? Instead of they're playing on, and they did it for us at Texas at 5:15. We had practice at 3:30 in the afternoon. At least we have meetings at 6:30. But I said, why wouldn't you do it on Monday? He said, that's their day off. We can't require them to come to press conferences on Monday. We can't require them to come to an NCAA drug test on Monday. So that was the answer I got for them, because the players were asking me the same thing. Coach, why do I get up at 4:30 for I said,
how many times a year, or I guess during the season, what happens?
I think it's one.
Just once,
Yeah. And everybody does it.
Did your house, is that your house out in the trees then? Do you have a house up there?
We do still have a house up there, and we think so. Nobody's been able to see it, no. But again, people like Sally and I that have a house up there, we're going to be okay. The people that live there, man, that I can't imagine. They can't eat. I don't know what you do. When App State had to cancel a game, I mean, I saw Boone. I saw enough pictures. There wasn't places to stay. There wasn't places to eat. I mean, that's a real issue. And parts of Linville, where we live, they were just underwater. The golf course was underwater. They closed down the lodge. And I mean, I can't imagine in modern day that we can't have cell phone service. I mean, it's so easy for us to call and get help. And what about the people at the hospital? They said the hospital didn't even have water. So, I mean, we got people sick. And if there's no food and there's no water and there's no electricity, how do you get them somewhere where they're safe? I mean, now these are real problems. And that's what it just hit me. We get so into this, and football is so important in my life. But there's people dealing with a lot worse things than trying to pick up a blitz.
Right.